We talk all things updates, all things transfer news, all things contract extension news, and all things loan exits in today's video. So I hope you guys are enjoying the content this summer. If you're loving things, if you're excited by how the window could potentially end, then hit that like button. But before we go on, today's video is brought to you by Parimatch. My friends, I've got a very simple question to propose, but how would you like to win tickets to the Blues' opening Premier League match of the season? That doesn't sound too bad, right? Parimatch UK are currently offering new customers the opportunity to win 5 tickets for Chelsea vs Liverpool at Stamford Bridge on Sunday the 13th of August. Now, to be in with the chance of winning this incredible prize, you must create a Parimatch account and opt into the promotion. Once you do that, you then place a £15 bet on any Chelsea vs Liverpool market, and yeah, you also get £30 in free bets for entering. Full terms and conditions apply, with all the links you need provided below in the description. So I guess, my friends, all I can say now is good luck. So now, my friends, let's talk all things Vlahovic and Lukaku, whose futures are currently intrinsically tied for very sad reasons, and I'm going to explain why I feel this is sad at the end of this news segment. But right now, let's start with things, and as we're hearing, Juventus feel like signing Lukaku is a better investment for them compared to keeping Vlahovic, and that's for 3 reasons. Number 1, there are concerns that tactically, Vlahovic doesn't really complement what Allegri wants to do. Number 2, for financial reasons, Lukaku would cost them less money compared to keeping Vlahovic, who still remains here on a big long-term contract, and due to the growth decree laws in Serie A, which basically means that if Serie A clubs sign players from foreign clubs, they get tax relief on their wages. So when you do the accounting, they could save a lot more money in the long run if they sign Lukaku, sell Vlahovic, and get a player on reduced wages. And number 3, there are some slight concerns around the long-term fitness of Vlahovic because he has suffered from these chronic groin strain injuries. Now, there's this conditioning called pubalgia, which Vlahovic has suffered with quite a lot over the past 2.5 years. And that's why there's this hesitation when it comes to Juventus keeping the player. Now, to move on, I'm going to reference both Gazzetta and Corriere to just explain the story a lot more. As we know, Juventus are really the ones who are pushing Vlahovic onto us, but as per learning from reports, when it comes to officials at our club, there seems to be 2 parties now. Now, on one hand, some people are very open to getting this deal over the line because they want to bring Vlahovic to us, whilst on the other hand, there's other officials that don't see the utility in making a move for him. Now, for the interested parties, they're exploring potential bonuses that they could include in this deal that could take the value to the value that Juventus want, which is around 40 million euros. Since the last negotiations that we learned of, there was a current 20 million valuation difference where we only offered Lukaku plus 20 million euros for Vlahovic, but that was turned down. Juventus wanted more between 40 to 50 million, but it's believed that a final offer consisting of Lukaku plus 30 to 35 million euros on top could be enough to get this deal over the line. We're learning today that Juventus are coming back with new proposals, and they're hoping that if we could sign Vlahovic for around 69 million euros, they would then sign Lukaku on loan for the season with an obligation to buy at the end set at around 50 million euros. But these clauses are dependent on whether Juventus are successful next season. So you can see why that's a bit of a concern, right? Now, some reports said that Vlahovic was not interested at all in moving to us, and ideally he prefers to remain at Juventus. Now, I feel like he would probably be open to staying there, of course, but reports today from more concrete sources are saying that Vlahovic is open to a move if he goes. Now, ideally, he prefers to go to a Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid because they have Champions League football. And some small rumours are circulating that Real Madrid may be enticed and interested to make a final move for Vlahovic, so we have to see how things play out. But currently, Juventus are feeling the pressure now to get this deal over the line a lot more than us. We're more than happy to take our time and buy things. As we know, a 1 week's break was taken because we have other priorities that we're trying to secure right now. And you'd imagine that as time keeps going on and going on and going on, there's more pressure for Juventus to sell to our demands compared to us, selling to their demands. More rumours have come out suggesting that we've agreed contract terms with Vlahovic up to the tune of 10 million euros a year. But I think we still have to see whether all parties at our club actually agreed to getting this move over the line. But in my opinion, to end things based on how I started this new segment, I kind of feel like this would be kind of sad. And listen, I've done tactical breakdowns explaining why Vlahovic is not a bad player. He's a good one, and he actually could really suit how we play. But for me, my main thing is I feel like we're just talent hoarding to ridiculous degrees now. I mean, we have Jackson, who looks incredibly impressive, in Nkunku. Bro is getting back to full fitness. We've got Dacia Fofana doing absolute bits with Union Berlin. Of course, we're trying to sign Washington and Y at this point in time. I think my thing is, if you're going to tie down this player and really commit to him by paying him like nearly 10 million a net per season, whilst you have all these other exciting forwards hovering behind the scenes, but it may be like a year or two, they could be ready to easily replace him. I don't want to be tied down with too much responsibility over a move that is more like opportunistic compared to being like a key target that we've actively been putting work into try and sign. It's not about Vlahovic not being good enough, because he is, and if people tell you that he isn't and he's a flop, I don't think these guys know what they're talking about. But I just think that in terms of the utility in the long term, it's not for me personally, but that's only my opinion. What's your opinions? Let us know in the comment section. And now I want to discuss these interesting rumors, and I'm really going to stress rumors. That's all they are right now. Now, recently we saw a clip circulating on Twitter from a media station in Ecuador called Javelin Deportivo, and essentially they report that we have agreed terms now to sign Moises Caicedo up to the tune of $120 million, which is around like 94 to 95 million. Now, including this deal would mean that Independiente, Casado's like original club, they had clauses in that deal which sold him to Brighton, and they'd be set to earn around $24 million. But these claims were so bold from this news station that they even said that expect him to be announced tomorrow or early next week. Now, I did some of my own research, and from what I learned, this presenter is kind of notorious in Ecuador for being a bit of like a hype merchant and a smoke seller. So we have to take his claims with like an extreme pinch of salt. Even if his claims might be bogus, does that necessarily mean that we aren't getting a bit closer now to tying this deal up? Now, as we learned yesterday evening, Brighton are trying to sign Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, and they've made an agreement in principle up to the tune of £34.5 million for Kudus. Now, Kudus and Brighton are still talking about personal terms. There's still like a bit of a way to go before this deal is like actually secured. But is this news not linked with our efforts to sign Casado? Does this imply that because Brighton now are making a move for Kudus, this means that they've agreed to sell Casado to us and they're trying to invest early now over an imminent move? Now, for me, this is absolute bogus. Let's not forget that Brighton tried to make a 40 million bid to sign Cole. That money hasn't vanished. Brighton have a ton of money themselves. They could easily make an independent move for Kudus that has nothing to do with us signing Casado. However, the news does continue on, and as we learned today from Sky Sports, Casado wasn't playing in Brighton's friendly game today against Rayo Vallecano, and the reasoning behind why was pretty sus, and it was pretty poor, to be honest with you. They're saying that he's taking some time off to get ready now for the start of the Premier League. But when has any big player not taken part in a pre-season game to build their match fitness and sharpness in time for the new season? Like, that reasoning doesn't sit right with me and didn't really make any sense. I couldn't find any like examples of this happening recently to kind of even support these claims, so I was feeling something a bit funny with this one. We might have some confirmation behind this news because Brighton's CEO came out to state that Moises has a slight hamstring injury late in training and was pulled out for that reason. With the Premier League season just a week away, it makes no sense to risk him today. I mean, it's not very often that CEOs of clubs are coming out to make announcements like this. There must be like a massive emphasis on slight, because as we know today, we're planning to make our final bids to sign him before the season starts. But before I go on, Brighton pulled literally the same stunt when they announced that Cucurella had something quite similar before he made his move to us last season. My thinking is, if you knew a deal was close, then you're going to safeguard the player's fitness so he doesn't get no injuries before the deal gets wrapped up, no? And on top of that too, I'm also thinking, now that it seems like we prefer to sign Michael Olise, is one of the reasons behind why, due to the fact that Brighton have had long-term interest in Kudus. He is like a top De Zerbi target, and Brighton have put in a ton of work to try and persuade Kudus to sign for them. By us now not signing Kudus, is this saying to Brighton, you can have your man now, we won't act as competition to sign him? And currently that's two things that we've done recently that work in favour for Brighton. We've recently signed Robert Sanchez. They had a lot of goalkeepers there and they've earned 25 million from his sale. They're now close to signing their top player of this window in Kudus, and now we ain't signing him no more, even though we agreed personal terms and had contact with Ajax. And now Casado now is mysteriously omitted from their recent friendly game. Like, everything now is starting to look very sus in my opinion, but also a bit exciting. And going back to those rumours that came from Javelin Deportivo, they could be absolutely capping, gassing things up and talking BS. It could be like a pure coincidence, or maybe slightly behind the scenes, they're hearing of positive developments, and it feels like everything's kind of slowly aligning now in terms of us being able to sign Casado. He's agreed personal terms since May. He wants to sign for us. There is no other competition to sign him. And the rumours suggesting that not only are we paying under the 100 million valuation, but Brighton are earning a lot closer to that, and like a 94 or 95 million move. What I can say, my friends, is let's watch the space, but surely things are kind of positive right now, no? Now we move on to discuss the latest news surrounding David Washington, the Santos 18-year-old striker. Now, as reported by French journalist Insante Ona, he reports that AS Monaco have made an 11th hour bid to sign Washington, and right now, Washington has more of a preference to sign for Monaco compared to us. Now, what helped Monaco get in the running is that they've sold their Brazilian midfield player, what's his name, John Lucas, to Santos, and that's where they got the right of preference from Washington. Now, we've offered Santos more money, 15 million plus 5 million in add-ons. We've offered Washington more wages. Our payment terms for all parties are a lot stronger, and Monaco have only made a 50 million offer, and Santos have told them, you have 48 hours to up your offer if you want to do something. Now, to give my brief opinion, I think the reality is simply this now. Obviously, if you're Washington and you're seeing all the young talent that we're holding at this point in time, are you going to feel that your career is in the best hands compared to going to a Monaco that has a history of, raising your level, giving you that platform to sign for bigger clubs? And if you do that independently outside of being part of our network, you could even have a better career, sign more money, and have a lot more confidence behind your development path compared to being with us. And I think that's a very fair answer. Like when we signed Dacho Fofana, did he expect us to be in the market to sign even more strikers his age? I don't think so at all. And no player wants to be a victim to the future, right? Now, interestingly enough, it seems like Angelo Gabriel now is set to sign on loan for Strasbourg. Reports have mentioned that maybe Pochettino prefers to keep him, but in terms of business, if Gabriel is playing week in, week out in a top division, that's going to be better for his development path right now. And if there's an additional bonus that his boy in Washington will join him in Strasbourg, where these guys are going to acclimatize to the league a lot better and have some companionship together too, could that be enough, of course, to get this deal over the line? I don't think that would be a surprise. But at the same time, it's not the first time that players have been a bit put off by our approach. Obviously, Franca signed for Crystal Palace recently, and that's because he didn't want to go on loan to Strasbourg and he wanted to play straight in the Premier League. So he's thinking to himself, why are you going to sign me if you don't have any plans to use me right now? I'm going to go somewhere where I'm actually wanted. Could that be the same energy that Washington's feeling? Regardless, we're going to find out in the next 48 hours. And to end things, we talk all things contract extensions surrounding Humphreys and Ian Maatsen, two players that have 1 year left on their deal. Now, both players were overwhelming success stories during this preseason tour. I thought Humphreys, wow, 2-footed, the ball progression, playing vertical passes forwards, the confidence. He carried himself properly. And he's really impressed Pochettino and the club to the point where he's set to sign a new contract extension. Now, currently, Coventry City plus other unnamed parties are interested in signing him on loan for the season. I'm hoping that he gets the European move because he was an overwhelming success with Paderborn last season. So yeah, well done Humphreys. And in the case of Ian Maatsen, of course, another player that greatly impressed Mauricio Pochettino. He wants to stay and remain here, but his only concern is he wants a proper development path. Currently, reports say that Pochettino plans to use him as an attacking mid and a right winger, But with someone like Maatsen that is like really strong in like nearly every area in the field, I feel like in the future, this guy could kind of have any position that the team feels he's best suited to. Before pre-season, we wanted offers of like 20 million plus add-ons to sell him. And currently there's strong interest from West Ham, from Burnley, from Ajax and from Lens as well too. I mean, these are big clubs, and to be honest with you, I'm happy that Maatsen's staying, because when I saw him get his first team debut against Grimsby at 17, this guy was doing madness already as a left back. So he's always had that like, you know, amazing potential in his game. And for me, I kind of feel like it's best that he stays here. And I wonder what happens now to Cucurella. Rumours have been growing that, you know, Pochettino hasn't been impressed by Cucurella during pre-season. Obviously, we signed him for big money. The market for him isn't too big. And my thing is, once the season starts and we start seeing players playing, if Cucurella is not getting any minutes, would I be surprised if he engineers a long move in the final days of the window? Or if clubs try to sign him? That wouldn't surprise me. But I think right now, with like Lewis Hall going on loan to Crystal Palace, Ian Maatsen remaining, we have to keep our talent to play the long game. And I do think eventually Cucurella will go, and that frees up those spots then for Hall and Maatsen. So my friends, on that note, that is the end for today's video. How do you guys feel about the rumours? Are you feeling a bit excited around Casado? I'm in EFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.